All right, stand by. Roll sound.
Speed.
Roll camera.
Speeding.
Slate.
Scene one, take one, mark.
And action. Hey everybody, welcome to Burnie's Applebox, Friday at 2 o'clock. This is so awesome. I'll tell you, it's a great show today. I have very good friend and the ultimate road trip buddy, Ben Stanley, on today.
Hey, Burnie, thanks
How
for
you
having me
doing,
on.
my man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Awesome. Very good, sir. Very good. Thank you for coming down. I know it was quite a jaunt for you to get down here, but I really appreciate
Hey,
you
a friend
coming
in
down.
need, you know.
There
Anything
you
for
go.
buddy. Anything for you.
There you go. You're somebody I've wanted on for a long time, Ben. Ben and I, we did a road trip one time that was the legendary road trips of all time. And we'll get into that and talking about it. But Ben has had a huge career as a director of photography. And now he's a professor and an active DOP as well. And we're going to talk about that stretch. I mean, you've 30-plus year career. So we're going to talk about that and get all into it. Thanks again, Ben.
No problem.
Awesome. So, gosh, you know, we met when we got thrown together, not ever meeting each other. We worked one time 2 days before we left for 4 hours so we could just meet.
Which we found out later, which is actually was kind of a test run by the director for both of us.
Yes.
To see if he liked us and if we got along together.
Yes. And apparently he liked us because 2 days later he sent us out on a 30-day tour of the eastern United States. And we spent a day with each Miss America contestant.
Every state finalist east of the Mississippi.
Yes. So we did that, and boy, what a ride. It's, honestly, I think, Ben, truly one of the funnest jobs I've had in the business of all time. It was a beating, but it was fun.
We had some great moments. You really get to know somebody that long in the car. There were three of us, and Brittany and I really got to know each other and got some really great stories out of the whole deal.
It was
what an adventure, but the road always is.
Yes, the road always is, and I know that's what I want to talk to you about because
Sure.
I know you've done a presidential, I guess, overseas excursion to South Africa with Clinton.
Yep.
And you've been you've also worked news in your early days, all of that stuff.
Yeah, when I I grew up as a military kid.
Okay.
I was born in Europe, born in England, and came to America the first time. Lived here a little while in the Midwest. Moved back to Europe. Lived in Italy for another almost 5 years. And then came back again and then went to high school in Michigan, went to college in Michigan. And then I got into...
Well, you know what, just hold right there because that's something that kind of fascinates me. And I think it lends itself almost to the business that we're in. You did not have the traditional... I'm home at 5 o'clock, mom and dad are there, we're down at the dinner. Maybe you did, but you were doing it in another country. You were doing it in Europe or in a part of Italy.
It was really funny. I think that now that you mentioned that, one of the things that I believe has been an asset to me as a human being is my ability to be a chameleon and to adapt. Mm-hmm. As a military kid, moving every 4 years, you're just uprooted, so you have to make new friends, a new situation, new culture, new place. Mm-hmm. At the time when I went to Italy, we were the only black family that lived in this particular neighborhood because Americans tended to live together. My mother's West Indian, she's from Barbados.
Right.
And her philosophy was if we're going to go that far, we have to experience the culture. So we lived in a town, and we were the only American family that was in the immediate around.
That's
and we were the only
interesting.
black family in town.
That's interesting.
And we didn't speak the language.
Yeah.
So
well, that talk about fitting right in.
So, but at the end of near 5 years, everybody in town knew whose child I was.
Yeah.
I spoke Italian. My mother spoke Italian. My sister spoke absolutely fluent Italian. Doesn't remember a word of it now because she was quite young and just picked it up right away. I had to work at it. But I still remember some, but my Spanish is much better now.
That's incredible. What an experience, though. That's what I mean. You know, you sort of at a young age had your eyes open to different cultures, different ways of lifestyles and all that. And I think a lot of Americans, just considering, and not just Americans, but a lot of people worldwide, you know, this is true for my wife's family in Turkey too. You grow up somewhere and you just kind of stay there and you don't really expand outside of your norm or, you know, within that 30 or 50 miles from your place of birth.
Well, my mother tells a great story. When I was a child living in England, she used to put on the radio next to my crib for entertainment. This was back in the dark ages.
Yeah.
And one of the first words out of my mouth was, this is the BBC. One of the first things I ever said, according to my mother, which is quite funny because I went on to work with the BBC as a documentary cameraman for many, many years. And I basically started the Los Angeles Bureau.
For the BBC?
For the BBC here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And had a bunch of talent come through here, worked a bunch of some of the bigger trials, the OJ, Rodney King, Waco. 9/11 was kind of like my last run in that arena.
Yeah,
but, it was a lot of fun, and that was a lot of travel because the BBC has a very long arm and very deep pockets.
Oh, worldwide, worldwide. When I'm in
everywhere.
Turkey, I watch the BBC. That's where that's my general news outlet over there, you know. So that's awesome. That's awesome. So with that, you came back to the USA. I think you went to Ohio, didn't you? Or am I correct on that or not?
No, I went to Michigan.
To Michigan. Right. Okay. I was thinking you worked for a station in Ohio.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I initially started working in local news. I worked for a CBS affiliate in Lansing, Michigan. Was my first job at a now defunct station called WGIM.
Yeah.
And out of that, I went on to another CBS station, Channel 10, a very, very prominent station that exists to this day called WBNS, which was considered a network jumping off point for a lot of anchors. Bob Orr, who is now was the CBS aviation expert, came out of there. The correspondent Derek Blakely worked there. Faith Daniels worked there.
Wow.
At one point, Jonathan Winters worked there.
Oh, wow.
Rod Serling worked there at one point.
Wow.
So this station had...
What an alumni.
And the nice thing about this station was they spent a lot of money. It was a family-owned business, and they spent money on technology. So we always had the best technology that we could have at that given moment.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I got to work with some really good cameras, live equipment, doing live shots when people weren't doing them, satellite, trucks when nobody had a satellite truck. So it was a very enlightening experience.
That's great. What a good place to sort of start out too, with a lot of good equipment and people who are committed to the business.
Well, it's funny because when I first started out in the business, I was doing an internship at that station in Michigan, and there was this is back in the very early beginning, the nation days of videotape. Videotape was still new.
Yes, right.
News was actually shot on film. 16 millimeter reversal film, slide film basically. So we would have to shoot. You had to have the film back at 12:30 for the film run. We had a processor that was on premises, and they would do the run, and we would literally, the film would come out of the tank, and we would literally sit at a flatbed and cut the show, cutting celluloid, hot splicing, and A-roll and B-roll were actual physical rolls of film that were hung on a telecine.
Give me the year that you were there.
1979 was when I started working professionally.
79.
That was when that was basically the year that it was transitioning into videotape. 78, 79.
But still, there was quite a ways to go before it was all video.
I didn't see a Betacam until probably 1982, 83. I saw my first Betacam because I started out shooting pneumatic.
And still, even then, that was relatively
new. Yes.
Relatively new. So you know what? That is so huge, I think. And we just blow by these events in our life technologically. But imagine today if you had to use film and go out and then bring it back to the station by noon for the 5 p.m. show?
Yep.
Yeah. And then you got to process it. You got to look at it. You got to cut it.
Well, there were no live shots back then.
Yeah.
You didn't, we would have to feed video over the phone lines, over copper lines to New York, to the network, and it was a very onerous and huge deal to do it. Now it's a press of a button, it goes up on the bird, it comes down on the bird, you buy your time on the window.
Now it's Facebook Live.
Exactly.
It's what we're doing. We're doing it, essentially, I don't call it TV, I don't like to call it TV, but we're doing a TV show, interview show now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't use the reference point of TV because I think it's actually confusing things now. You know what I mean? That TV is such an old appliance in your house that when I refer to this show, I refer to it as social media in a television format.
Yeah,
if you will.
Well, you referenced kind of one of the things that I'm doing now. I'm not a professor, by the way. I'm an instructor.
Okay.
I'm an instructor at Columbia College Hollywood.
Okay.
And the program that I co-instruct is called Production Workshop.
Okay.
And it's basically a class where we take our senior level students, and it's to produce your industry calling card to get you out there into the world.
Right.
Be you a writer, director, actor, producer, cinematographer, editor. And so I work with a group of young and emerging, cinematographers, helping them to get their demo reels together, the whole process of, just shaping something.
Presenting yourself, yeah.
And Burnie, the level of talent that I'm seeing in the young people today it's mind-blowing.
Wow.
It is just the skill set that these young people come out with now, the things they know how to do out of high school that I didn't learn till much later.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, getting older and further on, I mean, I'm at the back end of my career now.
Yeah.
I have fewer days ahead of me than are behind me, but I still, it's a great time to be in the business. And I think for anyone who is in the business, this is just a wonderful time because there is so much going on, leaps and bounds of advances. I mean, we've got AR, we've got VR, we've got all the advances in color space and resolution, and what's next?
Yeah.
What is next?
What's next is a huge question. That is something I'm starting to think, just in terms of what you're talking about, because it's a wave to me. It's mind-boggling. It's almost like you can't take it all in. You have to just take certain things. I have to admit, VR. You know what I mean, is something I haven't thought a lot about because I sort of can't wrap my head around the market of it. I can't wrap myself into the place of where it's going to go.
Well, the scuttlebutt from what I've been hearing, and I've worked VidCon and some of the larger industry panels, and I've heard some of the pundits talk about where the place of AR and VR is. Right now, I think the natural place is going to be in the documentary realm. It's just a natural fit because it lends itself to be able to go in with some cameras, drop a few cameras in a location, document, you're there, you're in the space, you're seeing the space without you're in Aleppo without having to put yourself in danger.
Right.
You're wherever, you're in a fjord, you're experiencing whatever.
Yeah.
The narrative, I think it's going to be much harder because, nobody wants to see behind the curtain. Nobody wants to see everything.
Yeah.
You have to maintain
now I do.
Well, yeah, but we're professionals.
Yeah. But you know what? That's another thing, Ben, is I think that all-encompassing, I think, one of my missions, and I think you know this, is that one of my things is people watch, I'll say maybe 1 million, maybe millions of hours of video.
Absolutely.
Or TV or media or whatever, throughout their lifetime, but 100,000 or thousands at least a year. No one ever questions how it got there, why did somebody pay money to put that on, whether it's a news show, whether it's an entertainment show, whether it's a commercial or anything else. We so blindly accept the media that is put in front of us without a thought as to how it's made, or why it's doing what it's doing. To me, that's the breakthrough. When people can look at that and say, I don't know an analogy, but maybe a book. You know what I mean? Somebody says, can open up a book and go, this book isn't very well written.
Right.
Or this book is so good I can't put it down. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't define it exactly why, but I want people to understand media. I want them to understand why they're seeing the media they're seeing and be critical of it. Define it. When I say critical, I don't mean you to have to like it or don't like it. I want you to be able to tell if it's good and why it's good.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about too is there's a lot of what I call kind of lowest common denominator wallpaper video out there because of this insatiable need for just content. And sometimes not necessarily good content.
Oh, and mostly not good content.
And that's a very subjective kind of a thing, like art. I mean, one person's art is another person's garbage. I mean, it all depends on your point of view. I mean, we screened a film in class that won an award at Sundance called The Procedure. Now, I can't even get into what this film is about, but if anybody wants to look up The Procedure, Sundance Award, and you tell me how that got made and why, and that's all I can say about it.
My point is sort of my point exactly. So, somebody is telling you something, and another thing that I truly believe is, this is an emotional medium, not an intellectual one.
No.
The closer you hit to the feeling is, it's not about the information, it's how you feel about the information.
Sure.
And that's how I look at it. That's sort of the education level I want to have people try to start thinking on, because then they can discern, in my mind, what is this piece doing? We kind of define it. You know what I mean? We define it if we're being critical and looking at it critically. We can define, oh yeah, okay, I know why you put that phrase in there. I know that cut, that edit really took it to this next level without ever saying it.
Right. It's funny that you should touch on that, because a few weeks ago, I periodically screen films in my class.
Okay.
What I consider classic films. And
sure.
A few weeks ago, I screened Alien.
Oh, great.
Okay, the director's cut, Ridley's cut of Alien, and it was a pristine print, very nice print. And one of my students, a very bright, technically very astute young man, his one comment was, this movie creeped me out because the effects look so real. Because he wasn't used to seeing practical effects. He's used to seeing Transformers CGI effects.
Yeah.
And I also showed them The Thing. They were squeamish because it was just they couldn't.
Was it the new Thing or the old Thing?
The old Thing, not the original Thing, not the black and white. Okay. The middle, John Carpenter's version.
John Carpenter,
The Thing,
right? Which was very good,
very good,
very good.
But they were the whole monster, the whole practical, the whole Rob Bottin, kind of effect thing, and they were just they can't believe it. So and now they're talking about having virtual actors, virtual sets,
which is already happening. Virtual actor is almost already happening.
Virtual lighting. Let's just shoot everything. We'll just shoot it all, and we'll create the exposure. We'll put the sun where we want it. We'll put, it's crazy.
Well, and it's going to happen whether you like it or not.
It's the future.
It is going to happen. I have a theory and a prediction, I guess.
Okay.
All wrapped up in one. In 5 years, some young college student will go out and have a great story. And he'll make a movie using film and tungsten lights, and he'll be the new auteur. He'll be the new genius because he used all the old stuff back.
That'd be like 21st century cinema verite.
It's kind of like The Artist, right?
Right.
Oh, a silent movie.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't done one of those in years.
Right. How novel.
How novel. And you know what? Here's the thing, though, that I think is important about that. The Artist worked. I mean, not only did it work, it won a Best Picture award.
True.
You know what I mean? So and that young guy who could make that film movie on, with using tungsten lights, the old heads, and Mole Richards and stuff, that would work too, because it's a beautiful look, and you can still tell a great story and get a beautiful look out of those mediums.
Yeah.
So it's not so much the medium, I think, but it's the quality of people who are making the medium. I think that's the real thing.
And it's what you're trying to do. I think what I see is students working at many different levels. I think as far as videographers / cinematographers, I think that everybody wants to shoot like the great narrative, where there's other things to do. I mean,
Right.
there's documentary, there's sports, there's a whole range of things, and my job is to try to make students see the range of things that can be captured photographically.
Yes.
Because it's a big pie, and everybody can eat.
It is big.
But everybody wants to shoot the big feature.
You know what? I think we're going to go to a quick commercial right here,
Okay.
Ben, and then we'll come right,
All right.
back. So we'll be back here on Burnie's Applebox real quick. Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. You know, we pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. We're here. Hey everybody, we're here with Ben Stanley. Welcome back, Ben. Awesome. We were just talking about technology. We were talking about your students, what they're intersecting. We're talking about the media and all that. Let me ask you, what are some, not just one thing, but what are some of the things that are striking you about the students you're seeing in film? And you've already mentioned that they are very astute and they are very talented in many aspects and know a lot coming right into it.
The biggest thing I'm seeing right now is they're really beginning to understand the concept of color space. That is the new thing about grading of an image, about working with, getting the most out of the image, getting a professional, level quality of image. I look at some of these students' reels. By the time they're putting out a finished demo reel that's been, colored, graded, and everything, it is as good as anything you will see that is out there in the professional world in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Coming out of film school. It's as good.
Wow.
And I've had people, working professionals, look at students' work and go, this is, I would hire this person in a minute.
That's incredible.
That's kind of
incredible.
what we're going for.
Wow, wow. Where's that coming from? Is it the early intersection of media that they're, in other words, with their phones, with whatever
yes,
they
can?
It's
coming from high school. It's coming from all the way up from high school through their phones, through things like social media. I mean, the level of expectation, the level of technology that is in a kid's hand right now, out of the gate, is phenomenal.
It's
every
unprecedented
kid
for
has
sure.
has a high resolution camera in their hand.
Yeah.
And they're constantly shooting. A couple bucks, you download one of the better programs like Filmic Pro or something like that, and you're shooting your own little movies.
Yeah.
Because it's not so much about the tool. I mean, a camera is a camera.
Right.
You get better glass, better chip.
You can always upgrade.
But the fundamentals, I know good shooting when I see good shooting.
Sure. Yeah.
And I can only imagine, well, if I give this person an Alexa, what would they do?
Right. Right. No, and they will extrapolate up
Right.
from there. You know, it's I agree. I think the level that I'm seeing out of the, and I hate to tag any generation because I don't. I have always hated the term baby boomer.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I hate to tag the newest generation. But as a reference point, I will say millennials.
Yes.
What I'm seeing out of kids that age is a lot smarter people than we were.
Absolutely.
When we were growing up, but much more in command and knowledge of how the world works, and I think a much better vision than almost any generation of where we can go. You know, I just see serious people. You know what I mean? Sometimes I maybe wish there was a little more comedy in it.
Yep.
You know. But I'm very, very, very impressed with young people today and what they're doing. You just look at Silicon Valley and see what's coming out of there from not just millennial maybe, but the younger age group and what's happening. It's changed our world.
So I mean, this right now, I think it is as exciting. I mean, as a kid, I can honestly say I remember, you know, when we didn't have a black and white TV at first.
Yeah.
I remember people down the street had a black and white TV. I remember when we first got our first
color
TV.
Color, yeah.
You know, I mean, I remember when, you know, we got our first color TV and it was a big deal.
Oh, that's a big deal.
You turn it on, wait 10 minutes for the cathode ray tube
to heat up. Yeah.
Don't sit so close, you'll go blind.
Yeah, right.
That kind of thing, and 3 channels of broadcast. Yeah. So now look at it.
And I remember when we got ours, we put it on NBC to see the peacock.
Oh, absolutely.
We had watched the peacock in black and white so long. We had to see this magnificent color.
You know.
I don't remember being too impressed by it.
No, but you know, and it's just funny. It's just funny. Looking back at the old days, and now, you know, the level of expectation. I mean, monitors, and you know, it's got to be 8K, it's got to be 4K, it's got to be, you know.
Oh, it's just like that's where I wonder if it ever stops. You know what I mean? Number one, I mean, where is that resolution going? You know, when does it? To me, after 4K, and maybe it's because of my age, I don't know, but I mean, after 4K, I don't know how much more clearly I have to see it, and when I can see where the
cranial implant.
Well, when I can see where the makeup line ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've probably got enough resolution. You know, my opinion.
Well, you know, actors really did. They
didn't
like the advent of high definition video because the film cameras used to run out, and you would get a chance to rest on a reload.
Yeah.
You know.
It used to be there was all kinds of things built into that. I remember go put a piece of gaffer's tape on that in the background. And we'll show some old stuff today from Ben, too. So you'll see how we got away with everything, really.
4:3 standard res, buckle up. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah,
but at the time, it was cutting edge.
Yeah. So in fact, let's talk about some of our road trips that we did.
Sure.
Now, we started out, Ben and myself, doing this Miss America trip, and it was 30 days. We had a producer with us, and what was her name? Ashley. And what we had to do is we spent a day in each state with the candidate, the Miss America candidate from that state. We had to do little small bios on them because if they were one of the 5 finalists, they would use that little bio that we shot in their what do we call it, presentation?
Yeah, so it was an interview with a lifestyle kind of like a magazine piece kind of a thing. So.
Yeah. So it was absolutely a great job. But every day we'd do the piece, and we'd get back into our car and we'd drive to the next state, and the next morning we'd be out there doing the piece with the next one. So I think the shortest one we had was 20 miles.
Right.
That was in Rhode Island. You know,
right.
That was it. But we had one in Pennsylvania, which you'll remember that I think. Where were we? Were we in West Virginia or something?
I remember toward the end because none of the states end. They don't all end at the same time. So sometimes we had to drive back and forth past the same place.
Oh no, we would backtrack. Yeah, we would backtrack.
There's that diner again.
There it is. Let's go in there. That had, let's go to get some peanuts.
There's nothing quite like trying to drive a Ford Excursion through Manhattan in the middle of summer. All 13 feet 6 inches.
And that was a learning curve for me. I can tell you that. That was the first, and I hate to say it, embarrassed to say it, the only time I visited New York. But it was in an excursion driving around Manhattan.
We did it right, trying to park that thing.
Yeah, that prepared me for driving in Istanbul, though. I will tell you that. That made Manhattan look easy.
I'm sure it
after
did.
that.
I'm sure it did.
Ben, that to me was such a great thing. Of course, we had just loads of fun, but the different families that we went in to see, the different economic lifestyles of all those contestants, the different makeup and the background. It was like almost a sociological tour.
It was, and believe it or not, I brought some old found footage.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
old
awesome.
found footage.
That's
Can
awesome.
we resurrect that?
Yeah, let's see
old
what we
found
got there,
footage?
Sean.
This is kind of what we were doing that was dropped into the show, and we had a running bet as to who was going to win because we were with these girls for so long, and we kind of had a consensus, and we were both right. I believe that year Miss Illinois won.
Is this the one? Is this your real? Okay.
No, this is
Yeah, this is from
Miss
Indiana.
America. Yeah, these are the little segments we would do with the
I remember
girls.
this Miss Indiana when we first met her. She drove up in her car and her crown was on the dash. She just like took it off and threw it on the dash.
And all of these,
I thought it was so
this
cool.
woman, she was very, very interesting woman. She, beauty, accomplished martial artist, as I remember.
Oh yes, I think we have some footage of that.
Yeah.
But you can probably see in the resolution of this.
It's very
Betacam,
old.
right?
Yeah,
What
yeah,
we got? This is
Betacam.
Betacam. We did it. We would do these interviews. We'd find a good spot to get the interview in, get B-roll like this of what we were doing. And then we would send all of our raw footage back to Los Angeles, and they'd put the pieces together.
And give us notes as we went along.
As
and,
we continue.
We were one of two crews, and not to put too fine a point on it, but we were the older crew.
We were the more
seasoned
mature,
crew.
Seasoned,
there was
thank you.
another crew that was the younger crew, and they had all the western states, so they had a lot of driving in between locations. They
Yeah.
would have to drive for 2 and 3 days and not
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah, yeah.
and we would drive, and then
We were just nailing it everywhere.
But
were
we
nailing it.
did get. Oh, I remember this.
Yeah, this
girl.
is now. Is this Baltimore or what?
Yes,
which
that
one?
was.
Is this
Yes,
Baltimore?
Miss Baltimore. I do
Okay.
believe she was the
No,
violinist.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. The violinist.
Yes.
I remember one of our favorite contestants was Miss Delaware, though.
Oh yes, Miss
I only have to say that to Ben.
Yes, Miss Delaware.
You
Well,
almost-
that was the beauty of this job, was you knew you were going to see a very intelligent and very beautiful young woman every day.
Absolutely. I often said during the trip, it's like having the best looking cousin in the world in every state.
Yep.
You know? And we would come in, too, a funny thing when we were doing these, we'd come in and you never saw people so nervous in your entire life. First of all, we were billed to them as being from ABC News. Okay, so that was one thing. You know, ABC News is going to be here. We would walk into these homes, and I defy you to find a single piece of dust
I know.
on the floor. These homes were just like,
Remember this
clean.
girl? Remember the baseball game? We
Oh,
had
no,
access.
that's
We had
Shandy-
access to everything.
That's Shandy Finney.
Yeah,
That's Shandy
yeah,
Finney.
yep.
She's in Piranaconda, the classic Piranaconda. Yeah, and she lives in Los Angeles now. She had never been to California
Oh,
at that
wow,
time.
wow, that's
all the
great.
animals and all
That's
that.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
the
a lot
family
of fun.
pool, you know,
She was a lot of fun. Bit of a show off, as I remember.
Oh yeah, aren't they all? Come on, they're contestants. But,
But we by the end of the day that we would meet these people, they would be so uptight, so scared of saying anything. I was so proud of us because by the end of the day, every family we visited, we became friends.
But you have the
with.
gift of gab. I mean, you would just get
Well,
them
you
and-
too.
and-
You too.
and, yeah, it was just great.
Yeah.
They just loved us. They just loved us. It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that was a lot of fun. It was great meeting all those people, very gracious, generous people everywhere. Every state we went to, I thought
Yeah.
was great.
So that's an example of one thing I've done. I've got another thing. This is a job that I did for the Army.
Okay.
This is a job I did, a series of videos for Special Forces, actually.
Okay.
So it kind of gives
Great.
you on the road
started
once
out
again, got to fly in helicopters and
See, that's the great thing. That's the great thing.
I almost got killed doing the shoot, actually. I'll tell you an interesting story. It was in this helicopter. We had to simulate this helicopter being shot down, so we taped a smoke grenade to the outside of it, and I was tethered to the inside of the helicopter shooting. When we landed, the spark from the smoke grenade caught the grassy field on fire, and nobody noticed,
Aye.
except till the flames were coming up right underneath the external fuel tank, and I noticed.
Oh my God.
So there's a shot of me running out of the helicopter I don't ever remember leaving. They just said I came out of there incredibly fast.
You were flying,
Yeah,
Ben. You didn't hit the ground.
I was flying low. I don't ever remember unhooking, but it's little moments like this, and these are all Green Berets. They love to mess with us. So they had the producer. We were strapped in, and they were making this thing fly sideways and hanging out of the doors. Moves like this,
oh my gosh. And they do love when these military guys have you in their world.
Oh,
they love to take you to the edge.
And the minute you show that you like it, because I started laughing, and then I was their buddy, and then I had
and now you're
blanche.
in. Now you're one of the guys.
And the funny thing is, on a side note on this job, we were there for 3.5 weeks. I shot the job. It was a series of modules, and one afternoon, we were out shooting, and a van pulls up, and 3 very serious-looking men get out, and they walk up to the producer, the director, and me, and they demand to see my camera. They want my camera.
Yeah.
And they want my footage.
Yeah.
And they take it into a van, and they disappear.
Yeah.
For about an hour, and they give us back our tapes. And that night, we get back to the room, and we look at our footage, and whole segments of our footage has been redacted, and we didn't know why. And it turns out later on that we were very close to the Delta training compound and didn't know it. We're Delta Force trains. And
so anything that might even put you in the location.
Give it away. Yeah. So So sometimes you have to be cognizant of things like that too. And one time I almost got thrown in jail in Africa for taking a shot of a wrong building on the road.
The wrong building.
The wrong building. Africa, you have to be very careful. Sometimes bad spirits. You can't just set up a camera and shoot like you can here, because if you're told and the guy with an AK-47 says you can't film that, guess what you're not doing?
You are not filming it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's always a good idea to follow whatever local customs are, wherever you may be.
Of course. In our industry, we're famous for do it and then ask permission later, right?
Right.
Yeah. But that doesn't work everywhere.
Not in foreign countries. That doesn't work. That can get you. Unfortunately, that can really
make your a nightmare.
Yeah, if you're in North Korea, that could be the end of you.
Well, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But I'd say don't take the job in North Korea, no matter what the rate is.
Yeah, and if there's anything I've learned from being out on the road, it's if you're going to go out there as a professional.
Yeah.
Do your homework, do your research, know where
Absolutely.
you are going, know what you are getting yourself into. Just don't show up anywhere blindly. And if there's one big piece of advice I could give to anyone, do not be the ugly American wherever you go. Be respectful.
Right.
If you don't know what to say, don't say anything.
Right. Don't try to do any showmanship.
Right.
Yeah.
Observe.
Yes.
Follow protocol.
Yes.
Know what customs are. I mean,
Yes.
if you're in a Muslim country and you are left-handed, learn to be right-handed.
Yeah.
Because you're going to offend people every time you hand them something. I mean, these are things you need to know.
And that's something that walking in, if you are left-handed, you're going to have an extra bit of a battle in those individual countries where that's an issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Or how you approach people, or how you deal with children, or how you approach a woman, or
Yeah, and even something as simple, because we do this all the time. Oh, what do you do? In a lot of countries, asking somebody what their occupation is almost insulting to them.
Okay.
Because jobs and status and class and things like that
Absolutely.
that occur there don't occur here. So we look at it
Case
that
in
way.
point, many years ago, I was doing a large job for Japanese television for NHK.
Okay.
In Japanese culture, when somebody hands you your business card,
Yes.
you read it, you grasp it with both
hands.
You read it.
Yep.
And business cards are arranged in order of hierarchy.
Rank. Yes.
Of rank. You just don't take somebody's card, glance at it, and throw it into your pocket. That's considered horribly insulting.
Yeah.
These are things you need to know, particularly if you're traveling and dealing, because you don't know who you're going to meet in this job. I've been this close to President Clinton.
Yeah.
I've been this close to Nelson Mandela. I've been very close to a lot of different people in the course of my life.
Right.
In the course of my job.
Yeah,
Prince Charles.
And you don't grab them by the shoulder and go, "Hey, just a sec, will you?"
Yeah,
get a little selfie.
No. It's protocol.
Exactly. And you know what, Ben? I will say this because of people in our industry, and I truly think this is important. that philosophy goes not just for foreign countries, but it goes right here too. Wherever you are, remember, as a media professional, you're coming into people's lives, businesses, situations, and organizations. You're a guest. Act like a guest. Be polite.
Right.
You know, get to know them. Tell them if you have certain needs for your production, you have certain needs, and just let them know that. But don't be assumed. I've seen people walk in the door and go, okay, we're going to have to move that over there. We're going to have to get this out, black those things. Now, you've got to do that stuff, but let the person who's in charge know what your issues are,
right,
so that they can help you more. And I found just a little bit of consideration that you're in somebody else's environment buys you a lot.
Sure.
That will get you a lot of cooperation.
Absolutely. You know, knowing, just being a professional, I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about this in the past. People showing up, particularly if you're trying to get into this business. I had somebody tell me, there are a couple of great maxims I've heard in this business. One that always stuck to me, never show up late with a sandwich in your hand. Okay.
All right. Never show up late would be good enough, but with a sandwich in your hand.
With a sandwich in your hand, then you're totally
toast.
done at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just having a good work habits, a good work ethic.
Yeah. Yes. And I think, Ben, that's why you and I did so well on the road together and have been friends for the 20 years since.
Yeah.
You know, I guess maybe 15 years. It was 2002. Have been good friends since, is because we immediately recognized that in each other. We were very polite. We treated people as people, not just subjects that we were there to record, but we got to know people and were respectful of their environment.
Well, as a freelancer, all you have is your reputation,
Yeah.
which you have to zealously protect.
Right.
Your reputation is the coin of the realm.
That gets redefined every day.
Every day you have, because as you well know, nobody really cares about what you did 10 years ago, unless you're obviously at a certain level. But
Yeah.
what are you doing for me right now?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've seen some of my old footage. Currently, I just had a feature-length documentary that just aired at the Malibu Guitar Festival that was quite well received.
I remember when you were doing that, yeah.
You know, and 5 years in the making, but, you know, and still out
Here
there.
it is.
Yeah, still out there, you know, I'm not done yet. Still looking for a good documentary project, something to sink my teeth into. That's always been my passion, you know, is telling a good story.
Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to take another quick little break right here, and we will be right back.
Burnie's workshop is fantastic. Burnie's workshop is awesome. Burnie's workshop is insightful.
Burnie, in one word, passionate maybe. You can tell he really cares a lot.
Burnie is a badass.
He's a great teacher. He has great stories, and I would recommend this to anyone. Not only someone like me who's starting day one, but you know, I feel that in any profession, as you sharpen your sword, it always gets sharper.
I think the best thing about this is the access to understanding how to run your business, how to actually be in this filmmaking industry and make money at it. Coming to this workshop, I think, is what actually gets you the tools to understand how to do that, how to get out there and sell yourself.
I thought that was really cool. I thought, he knows all the tricks in the book, and he knows how to show that to us and actually demonstrate it so we actually know what he's talking about.
I really like the hands-on experience. That's something that you don't find a lot. That's something you have to go on set a lot to just appreciate.
I know this is lighting seminar, but it's not only talk about lightings. He also share his business experience, personal experience, and guide us to what we should do, what kind of personality we should have in this business.
His stories, I think that kind of say everything in a few example stories that he gives out from time to time.
I would recommend this workshop to anybody who just spread into the industry, people who just don't know the swing of it. A lot of the stuff they don't teach you in film school.
I deal with a lot of freelancers every day, a lot of peers that I went to school with, a lot of professionals in the field, and they all need to take this class because it puts you on the next level, on the next playing field.
Burnie's a great guy. Burnie's really authentic. Like everything he learns, everything he teaches, the way he handles himself, the way he deals with other people. He's a one-of-a-kind guy, someone I've never come across before in the industry, and someone I hope to emulate and hope that there are more people like him out there that can help.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Burnie's Applebox, here with my good brother, Ben Stanley.
Burnie.
Yeah. Hey, so I think we have another little piece here you wanted to show.
Yeah,
and,
this was
talk about.
This was a little job I did with a good friend of mine who is semi-retired now, living down in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And we did this piece for it's an example of a corporate video piece for DoubleTree Hotels.
Oh yeah,
this won an award.
And
we shot this on video, but we film looked it, which was the technology back at the time
Yeah.
to give it that.
And Greg Kendrick
Yes.
lit this,
yes,
right?
he did. And Greg,
Yeah.
Greg did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
on it.
Greg's an awesome professional.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. Just got to do some,
What year was this, Ben? I know it was before our trip.
Oh, this would have been probably in the early 90s. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I want to say
Early 90s or later 90s?
maybe later 90s.
I bet later 90s.
Later 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, later
Yeah.
90s. Yeah.
No, that's and all those pieces. You see all that putting together and everything like that. That's it looks like pretty good storytelling to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I'm not hearing any audio, obviously here.
Yeah,
but it looks pretty
just
fun.
a lot of little
Yeah.
vignettes. We tried to make it not look so TV, so we incorporated a little bit more cinematic lighting, which Greg brought to the table, some camera movement, some better setups.
Yeah, very nice.
I was very proud of the way it turned out, and like I said, it won some awards. So.
Yeah, no, that's
awesome. It's always nice to work. I never got into this business to really win awards. I got into it because I like it.
Yeah.
Some people are lucky enough to get all sorts of awards, and
some people are really good about making sure their credits are all taken care of. I've been horrible.
Me too.
I don't even know what my IMDb says. I seriously, I've never gotten to put anything on it. I probably suffered for that. Somebody asked me if I had a resume the other day, and I go, if you're hiring me depends on a resume. Let's just cut it off
I'm
right
kind of
there.
getting to that point myself.
I just think, go ahead, sir. Move on.
Yeah.
I just, probably it's a bad attitude. I'll fully admit it's probably a bad attitude, but I don't know. After doing this for 25 plus years, working on all the projects I've done, with my knowledge base, if you have any doubts,
I got a couple of stills. Can we bring up a couple of stills?
Yeah.
I got just a few shots from some of my adventures on the road. There we are in front of Mao's monument.
Wow.
In Beijing.
What year was this?
Oh, this was about. This would have been about 2010, maybe.
Okay.
2010. Yeah.
A couple years back.
Yeah, a few years back.
Yeah.
I was there doing a job for the Urban League, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they sent a big trade delegation over, and we, big state dinner. We got to hang out, got to meet with all the bigwigs of China, and I got to have the Chinese secret police.
Boy, where we get to go, Ben, as just regular Joes, where no people way above us never even get to tread.
And here I am now. See, this is more. This is my world now. See, I'm the guy. This is the guy I used to laugh at when I was.
How
in
old
my
is
20s.
that picture?
Oh, not that old.
Really? Who's using the big studio cameras like that? Do the network still use those in the studio?
Anytime you go to any sort of large corporate event, I just used a camera like that last week.
Wow.
When we go to IMAG, when we're projecting hundreds of people. That's kind of a little slider rig. I was shooting a little infomercial with a Dancing of the Stars girl in a local mall for a friend of mine. A little slider rig there on a C300, just trying to keep it small and modern.
Yeah.
And that's one of our Kawasaki rigs,
Oh, for Kawasaki, huh?
Yeah, on a hi-hat.
You did a lot of work for, they were one of your big corporate clients.
Yeah. For many years. Every summer we would get together. It was kind of like for, I believe it was 12 summers. Same crew, and it was like being with your brothers and sisters all summer long. We would go.
Everybody back at camp.
We go to Sturgis. We did one show called Dream Rides for Speed Network with Dave Despain, where we did the best motorcycle rides in America. So we took motorcycles from Silverton, Ouray, all the way up through Durango, Colorado, all the way to Sturgis, up to Morro Bay, up to Laguna Seca.
That's so awesome.
Just on the road shooting camera car
So
stuff
awesome.
bikes.
What's this here?
Oh, this is an old shot from a BBC documentary that I did with the guy from the Green Mile.
Yeah. Okay.
Who passed away.
Yes,
Michael.
not just long ago.
Yeah, a few years back, but yeah, I'm no beard there, but that was my crew. Yeah, good times.
Awesome.
Good times. And there's Dave Stewart from Eurythmics fame.
Oh, awesome.
And
Awesome.
that was part of that documentary I was working on with female guitar players.
The one that has just come out?
Yeah,
or?
yeah. We were talking to him about one of the guitar players who was featured in it. So we're in his office in Hollywood, and I've always been a big Eurythmics fan, so I had a chance to get a picture taken with Dave.
That's awesome.
You know, we try to be pros, but even we get starstruck.
Every now and again,
when the moment's right, you always know when to ask.
I know. Yeah. That's the thing with me. I've always sort of stayed away from the pictures or asking. Of course, I'm not on a direct level with talent.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm a gaffer. Usually, the director of photography is.
Yeah.
He has occasion. He's going to talk. And
Well, they're
more
used to seeing
appropriate.
poking them with a camera, and so when you ask for a shot, generally
it's not that big a deal.
But, and I've got some great Hollywood stories just in terms of Ricardo Montalban. I worked with him once. I had the pleasure of working with Martin Landau, who just passed away.
Yes.
Martin.
I hate to admit this. I hate to admit it, but I thought Martin Landau had already passed away when I heard that. You know that sometimes with actors you haven't heard from them in a while, and I thought
he or she's still alive.
He's been in so many things that I saw when I was young. You know that I was sorry to hear it, but what a life!
Oh yeah,
what a life!
Yeah. You know, and just some of the stories. I mean, this business is so strange. I mean, I was recounting a story when I first got to LA, when I first came out here to reinvent myself at 30 years old, which is a little old to be showing up in this town.
Oh, my friend, I was a 40-year-old, $50 a day PA.
Exactly.
I relate.
I was a 30-year-old, $75 a day PA when I first got here, and I had been working at a television station. You know, I had a job.
Experience,
I had experience. I had a few years under my belt already. And they sent me to the airport to pick up the DP for a shoot that we were doing for Peugeot cars out in Death Valley. They said the DP's flying in. It's totally under the table. Kind of a crew was just going to show up in the desert, and we were going to happen to shoot a commercial, and we're going to happen to get paid with a suitcase full of money.
Okay.
One of those deals, right? It was very French.
Sounds very solid.
Yeah, right. So they go, you're going to pick up the DP. I go, well, who's the DP? His name's Gilbert. Gilbert who? Gilbert Taylor. That name sounds familiar to me. Oh, you may have heard of him. He DP'd a little film you might have heard of. Which one? Oh, called Star Wars and Dr. Strangelove. What? So, get this now. 5 o'clock, his plane lands at 4:45 from England.
Right.
We're in 5 o'clock LA rush hour traffic now. I've picked him up from the airport, and we've got to get to Hollywood. You know how long that takes? Now, I've got the DP of Dr. Strangelove and Star Wars in the car with me for that long alone.
Unbelievable.
That was a college education in and of itself.
I'll bet.
The stories
of
his
and
career.
You knew just enough to know what to ask him.
Knew what to ask him.
Yeah.
And he went on. He talked about Hitchcock, talked about his early days, talked about it was just and the guy was running around. We're shooting this commercial, and he just it's a 4, and the gaffer's running around behind him with his mirror. How does he do this? How does he know?
And he can look at his hand to see the reflection.
He could see a third of a stop.
Unreal.
Give it 2 turns.
Unreal.
It's unreal. The guy, but you shoot that much film,
That's
you just know.
incredible.
He knew his stock. He just
Yeah. It's funny. I never, I have acted as a DP before. I've sometimes, talked to people as being a DP, like in my conversations. I don't know camera really at all. I know lighting. That's what makes it good. But there's a real big difference in my mind with today's DP and those guys that made the big films, and there still are DPs like that, don't get me wrong, but that made the big films back in those days.
Because now you have
You have monitor assist.
Not to offend anyone, but we have a lot of Daddy bought me a red and I'm a DP.
Right.
Which, yeah, that works. And there are a lot of really good DPs out there who mom and dad did buy them a
Right.
red, and they are
No,
really
absolutely.
good DPs.
Absolutely.
But there are quite a few that aren't.
Yeah.
I mean, they just aren't.
I think the standard has gone down. Used to be somebody, and this is the way I feel. You really need to have a solid,
foundation,
strong knowledge base to call
Absolutely.
yourself a director of photography.
You do. You have to understand what's going on.
I know a lot. I don't have the level that I think I need to call myself a director of photography.
And it's I think it's an ongoing thing. I mean, you have to keep up with technology, and you die. You just get left by the side of the road, and you're done.
Yeah.
If you can't keep up, you're just done. That's the way
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, no, you are. Here's the thing. It's just a different job these days, and the jobs are different these days. There is so much media to shoot out there now. It's not priced in the same ways. But there's a lot of need.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because I just saw a white paper, the Netflix white paper on how they want for like narrative submissions. There is a whole flow now of how work is to be submitted to them. Very detailed, very precise. Details it from inception through locked picture final cut. As a DP, now you have to understand your entire workflow process. You have to understand from your color decision list, what color space you're working in, how you're going to finish, what kind of LUT you're going to go with, any VFX, how it's going to be put out there. It's crazy.
It's very demanding.
What you have
very
to know
demanding.
to conform your image. It's just crazy. And it changes all the time.
Yeah.
And I've always been more of a creative person. I mean, I'm technical to a degree, not as much as some people I know.
No.
Enough to get myself into trouble. But I'm not an idiot.
Right. Yeah, there comes that level, and I still think you have to have that creativity. You have to have that, no matter what technical knowledge is demanded that you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? You still have to have that emphasis. Hey, I'm going to try this.
Well, it's the balance. It's the balance, because engineers know one thing and artists know another, and it seems the sweet spot is always somewhere in the middle.
Yes, absolutely, very good.
It just always seems like that's the happy medium, somewhere in the middle, because
So tell me now. We're just about out of time, but tell me how do people get a hold of you?
Well, you can BlackRock Video at iCloud.com.
BlackRock Video at iCloud.com
is the best way to get in touch with me. I know I was showing you my old reel. There was a number on there. Do not use that number. That's an old, ancient number. But that's the best way. Anybody has any questions, or you can always find me at Columbia College Hollywood.
At Columbia College Hollywood. That's where you're an instructor.
Yeah, I'm an instructor there.
Okay, awesome,
and,
awesome.
You can call the switchboard and leave me a message there if you want to talk.
That's great. That's great, buddy. Ben, it's
Burnie,
been such a pleasure
it has been great.
to finally get you on here and talk to you. You'll be back again, my friend.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it.
See remember what I told you how fast an hour ago?
I know.
We didn't even get to a couple subjects we wanted to talk about. All right, brother.
Thanks,
thank you so much, my man. All right. And we'll see you guys next week on Burnie's Applebox. Cut. That's a wrap.